motion for sub-arbitration to determine whether or not that's sad.
Motion accepted. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. It's sad, D.
I'd also like...
Even the arbitrator voted for the motion. That's fantastic. Amazing. I've reacted to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia twice, but the fans were very specific. They wanted one more reaction, and they were very vocal about which particular episode. So I put on my weirdest suit, and let's react to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Hero or Hate Crime.
Oh, man, look at this. Dog shit. Did you just step in that on purpose?
Oh, no, I just, I didn't really see it.
You pointed it out to me.
I was just gonna yeah.
Is that a lottery scratcher?
Who hoists pianos like an old-timey cartoon?
Look out, it!
Holy shit. What the hell was that?
What? I saved your life.
But you called me the F word.
So what? I'm a hero.
You used the slur, dude. That's like a hate crime. Yeah, that's hateful speech,
really
man.
can't.
He saved his life.
You really
Yeah,
can't,
you can't say that word anymore.
So which is it?
So Danny DeVito has saved Mac's life by yelling out a homophobic slur at the same time, and I guess the gang is going to figure out if he's a hero or if a hate crime has been committed. All right, I'm on board. Let's find out.
You are entitled to nothing. Listen, motion to present articles of confederation.
Motion denied.
Oh, shut up. You don't deserve anything.
Excuse me, hey, can I help you?
Okay, look, usually we're a pretty reasonable crew, yeah? Right? I mean, we have our differences, but we settle them in-house.
Sure,
There's a process, there's filibusters, the whole thing.
No.
This one,
Okay, are they a reasonable crew? I've never gotten that impression before. Filibusters, I believe.
this one's a doozy.
Yeah, this one we can't do in-house.
That's why I wanted to bring in a third party, someone to hear us out and deliver a final verdict.
That's you guys.
That's you.
That's because a great injustice has occurred.
Okay, they went to arbitration.
A hate crime.
I saved your life.
But you used a slur.
It was a slur.
You'd be dead if I didn't.
Okay, I think I'm getting it. You want me to figure out whether or not a hate crime has been committed?
What?
No.
Way off.
No.
Oh.
Way off.
I mean, that's good because there is definitely no hate crime here. We'll probably talk about that more, I'm guessing, later on.
No, but no, it's not about that at all.
Yeah, it's about this. A $2 scratcher lottery ticket.
You've hired an arbitration attorney to figure out which of you is entitled to a $2 scratcher?
Now you're getting it. He's getting it.
he's getting it.
No, he's a smart guy.
Okay, so this is great. They went to arbitration. Arbitration is a thing that you can do. You don't have to go to court if you have an issue that would normally be adjudicated by the courts. You can, by agreement with another party, agree to take it to a neutral third party, an arbitrator, and have everything arbitrated. The arbitration basically carries the force of law. So the advantages of arbitration are that you can basically make up whatever rules that you want. It's usually much faster. But it can be more expensive because the state isn't paying for the judge. You have to actually pay for the judge, the arbitrator's time. So there's pros and cons.
Each one of us feels that we're entitled to that ticket. We need you to tell us who it belongs to.
Why don't you scratch it and see if it's worthless, and then you wouldn't have to go through all of this.
Okay, so he's not getting
What?
it. Okay. Hold on, is it?
Okay, yeah, so look, it doesn't matter that the scratcher might not be worth anything. You can arbitrate whatever you want. You just have to pay for the arbitrator's time. It's completely up to you. So, so far, this is actually much more realistic than the prior examples on It's Always Sunny because basically anything goes in arbitration.
This ticket represents hope, okay? Potential, yeah? Promise. The very foundation upon which this group rests, huh?
Yes. And that hope belongs to me.
It belongs to me, you son of a bitch! Are you crazy? It was mine!
Please stop. Each of you will have an opportunity to plead your case. The only rule I have is that you each treat each other with respect and common courtesy. Do we all agree to those terms?
We would
That's incredible. So in arbitration, because everything is done by mutual consent, the parties do have to agree to the arbitrator. So If you're not happy with the arbitrator that you would normally get, then you can keep going until you find an arbitrator that everyone agrees on. So it's absolutely hysterical that the one rule that everyone treat each other with compassion and respect, that's a deal breaker for the gang. Perfect. A+, love it.
We would like to thank you so much for taking our case so last minute.
The other guy was not our style.
Well, I'm very happy to do so. I do have a few questions.
Fire away.
Yep.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Now, the ticket in question, who purchased it?
Me. Thank you.
Well,
that was me. And that's why this whole thing is so cut and dry. Hold on. I purchased the ticket, and therefore the ticket belongs to me. I actually bought the ticket a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't realize it was going to be so goddamn blustery that afternoon.
Yeah, so I actually think this is probably pretty cut and dry. Dee purchased the ticket. It came out of her purse for just a few seconds. Really, the only argument against it is if she abandoned the ticket, but that's a pretty high standard to make. It requires an overt act that clearly shows the owner has relinquished control, and the owner has to actually intend to get rid and abandon said thing, and then basically any third party can come and take the thing that has been abandoned. We're talking about losing a scratcher ticket for just a couple of seconds when the wind blows it away. There's absolutely nothing that she did that shows an affirmative act to abandon the scratcher ticket. I think this one is pretty cut and dry, at least with respect to the ownership of the ticket. Whether there's a hate crime or not, I guess that's a separate issue.
The ticket flew out and landed on the ground.
So you purchased the ticket 2 weeks ago?
I did.
And why hadn't you scratched the ticket yet?
Oh, well, that's because nobody ever wins those tickets, right? But as long as you don't scratch it, then you're not a loser. You know, in fact, you're a winner. Potentially.
God,
That is so sad.
so pathetic.
God, it's so sad, Dee. That's so sad of her to say.
This
Jeez.
exact same thing like 10 minutes ago, talking about how the ticket represented hope and all that
Somehow
bullshit.
coming from
No, that's totally different. Totally different.
Motion for sub-arbitration to determine whether or not that's sad.
Motion accepted. All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Sad, Dean.
I'd also like,
Even the arbitrator voted for the motion. That's fantastic. Amazing.
while Dee's version is the truth, it's not the whole truth. Why don't we talk about the contents of Dee's purse? The scratcher ticket, the candy sour worms, the pack of cigarettes. Now, what I want to know is, how can a woman who makes less than minimum wage afford such impulse buys?
So you're smoking now, Dee?
How can you actually afford to smoke? You see, Dee and I had a deal. I give her money for coffee every morning on the way to work. And she's instructed to give a very generous tip to the cashier, Cassie. This is from my boss, Dennis. Now, this establishes both generosity and authority.
Okay, so the argument is that Dennis is her boss, and because of the employment relationship, it's outside of the scope of her employment to have purchased the scratcher ticket. That is interesting. Okay, so that might work. So it's a tough one though, because is it really within the scope of her employment to tip the woman that works behind the counter there? You can imagine that if your boss gives you money for, I don't know, petty cash for lunch, and then you go out and buy alcohol, that seems like it's outside the scope of your employment. And theoretically, your employer could then sue you for the balance that was misappropriated by the employee. That one's interesting. Now, wait a minute. Okay, so there's a really interesting wrinkle here in that even if Dennis is right, that's outside the scope of Dee's employment, and that she owes him damages as a result of that, the remedy here is probably not specific performance. Specific performance is where you have to turn over the actual thing. You see this in real estate a lot, where a house or a piece of land is considered unique. So if there's a breach of contract, you have to turn over the piece of land. Whereas in almost all of American law, the remedy is usually damages in the form of money. So here, you could argue that even if Dennis is right, he doesn't get possession of the ticket, he gets compensation for the amount that Dee should have been spending on the tip rather than the lottery ticket. So I don't think he would be entitled to the ticket or the funds from the ticket if the ticket is worth something. That is a very complicated legal issue to think about in just the first 10 minutes of this show. This is fantastic.
Possibly a little dominance. It's all a very choreographed dance between two soon-to-be lovers.
Cassie's underage.
No. What are you talking about? Cassie is not underage. Cassie is 21 years old. So the champagne I was purchasing.
I mean, the age of consent is generally 18. In some states, it's less than that. So underage, not in a legal sense, but sort of in a moral sense that, like, this guy who's over 40 shouldn't be harping on someone that just turned 21 or is about to turn 21. That's kind of gross.
Dee has no rightful claim to that ticket, and I'll prove it. See, yesterday, after noticing the contents of her purse, I decided to follow her this morning. Cassie never gets her tip, does she, Dee?
No, because I refuse to tip for coffee. I think it's dumb.
So if you were buying circus peanuts and candy sour worms and cigarettes, I think we all know what that means about the ticket in question, don't we?
I don't. Do you know?
No.
Totally lost.
That means she bought it with my money. So technically, that ticket is mine.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. He might have a claim for reimbursement. I don't think he has any rightful claim to the ticket itself. Also, it's a $2 scratcher. Who cares? But I know, I'm sure they'll accuse me of not getting it either.
Now, let me sum up the facts thus far. Miss Reynolds bought the ticket with Mr. Reynolds' money, but Mr. McDonald currently possesses it.
Correct, but I deserve it. And here's why.
Okay, so the law says nothing about who deserves what. It's about compensating people for past wrongs. I don't look, Charlie is not a legal expert, even in bird law, so.
Okay, well, filibuster.
Do you know what that word means?
Yep.
Yeah, what's that mean?
I don't think this argument is going to work, but let's hear him out here.
There we were, right? We were just walking down the street, minding our own business. I just spotted the perfect pile of dog shit, and naturally I stepped in it. Well, it doesn't matter anyway, all right? Because I deserve the ticket. Because if the shoe's a matcher, Charlie gets the scratcher. What the But look, if it smells like shit, you must have quit.
You know what? If everyone's gonna be smoking on my dime.
I mean, all right, as expected, complete legal insanity, though I do like the reference to Johnny Cochran. Man, Charlie is just the legal clown that keeps giving. It's, the writers of the show must know what they're doing to write Charlie so insane from a legal perspective. It's wonderful to watch.
Look, nobody is debating whether or not the shoe print is yours.
I mean, can they actually smoke indoors? I can't imagine that is legal in Philadelphia. So I imagine that this is probably laws broken.
We all know that it is because everybody saw you kick me. We're debating whether or not you actually saved my life, which you did not, because I was just about to do a sweet backflip to safety.
Oh, no,
He's never once flipped.
I do it all the time. Is it cool?
Which you would not have done had I not warned you, thereby saving your life. That is my ticket.
Okay, I don't get it. Even if Frank did save his life, why would he be entitled to the ticket? Just general morality that if you save someone's life, you're entitled to something from them? That's, I think that's gonna be dumber than Charlie's argument.
The point is that I said, look out, it, which were the words that saved Mac's life. Thereby, I am entitled to at least half that ticket.
That is complete nonsense. Whether the slur is used or not, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, why did you use the slur instead of just yelling your friend's name?
Well, there was a lot going on.
It's
I
irrelevant.
needed something that would cut through.
Oh,
Well,
I mean,
as soon
still-
as I said the
still it's
slur,
irrelevant.
everybody knew to look at Mac.
Okay, it may have been effective, but it was an offensive slur. And a bigot should not be entitled to a hero's payout.
You're allowed to use any language you want to save somebody's life.
I mean, okay, this is completely off the rails. But I have news for the whole gang here. You're allowed to use whatever language you want almost all of the time. There are only a few exceptions to the First Amendment, none of which apply here. And we often talk about hate speech or hate crimes, but there's no cause of action that something in and of itself, just a word itself, is hate speech, and therefore it must be punished. Now, a lot of people disagree with that. They think that hate speech or slurs or particularly offensive language should be illegal. Now, where you fall in that particular debate doesn't matter because we have the First Amendment. And as long as we have the First Amendment, it's going to protect people being able to say things like that. So for the most part, the definition of a hate crime is something that is an actual crime, but it's enhanced because of the particular racial or sexual motivation that is associated with that particular crime. That is a crime apart from whatever words are used. So this is not a situation where there is any kind of hate crime because hate crimes don't apply to just mere words.
Really, any language?
Yes.
You let a man die over a word?
Come on, it's just a word.
Just a word. Oh, okay. Well, Frank, tell me something. If you were going to save somebody else's life, you know, from a falling piano, and you needed a word to just cut right through, what word would you use to call out to the arbiter?
He means arbitrator, but good luck with that one, Frank.
I suppose.
Okay, let's just move on.
Well, I think we've seen enough. I've certainly learned something. This has nothing to do with being gay. This is just the work of a man who's an extreme sexual deviant. Gay or not.
Can I have one of those?
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, whatever.
You guys are just jealous because I've got $1 million idea and I've got the ticket.
Okay, he has the ticket. I don't think he has a legal claim to the ticket. I also don't think that's $1 million idea. Oh no. And okay, so theoretically, what does Dee do if she has a claim to the ticket and Mac doesn't want to relinquish it? She would sue him for conversion.
You actually don't believe in evolution anymore? I don't know. He created a reasonable doubt. He makes you sound like a stupid science
for effectively civil theft of the thing. And here, since Mac hasn't paid anything for it, it's not like the Dee Dennis situation where Dee was supposed to take a certain amount of money but used it for other purposes. Dee would then sue Mac for conversion, and the damages would be the value of the ticket itself. So Dee would be entitled to whatever the ticket is worth from Mac. We'd need to scratch the ticket to find out how much exactly. But again, she can't sue for specific performance of the ticket itself, I don't think.
And I will make my decision. But let me make one thing clear. In order for this to be entirely just, I will make my decision based on fairness and compromise. You understand?
She's getting the boot.
Okay. Come on, caught up.
So good.
All right, so what's the verdict?
Yeah, what do you got?
So I've never run into a situation where, and I've participated in many arbitrations, where the parties have midstream decided to get rid of the arbitrator. I can't imagine that there's any reason why you can't do that. But you can imagine that you're gonna have to start over, which would be extremely expensive. So you're not gonna see it all that often. By the way, arbitrators are really expensive. They often are former judges. And so if an attorney might be charging $500 an hour in a given area, which is probably middle of the road for a big area like LA or New York, an arbitrator might charge 2 or 3 times that. It's not uncommon for an arbitrator to charge $1,000 or $1,500 an hour. Because if they are a former judge, then they're in high demand. Now, you can hire a cheaper arbitrator. These, specifically, they said that this is an arbitration attorney rather than a former judge, so they're probably not going to charge that much, but still. Arbitrators are really, really expensive.
I think I'm all caught up.
All right, so what's the verdict?
Yeah, what do you got?
I think it's actually pretty straightforward. Mr. McDonald is in possession of the ticket, so he has ownership.
No, absolutely not. It's an old wives' tale that possession is 9/10 of the law. Not a thing. Absolutely, Mac does not get possession and ownership of this ticket. No way.
However, he would not be in possession if his life were not saved by Mr. Reynolds, who set off the chain of events saving him.
Totally irrelevant to ownership.
So I see it as a 50-50 split.
What? That's it?
Kidding me?
I'm a hero. I'm a hero.
Get the man out of the way.
Nothing
for the man who paid.
Okay, that's completely wrong, not based in law whatsoever. However, arbitrators can often make any decision that they want to. Now, their decision has to be based in law, so it's not so much the outcome that can be challenged here, but the process by which this arbitrator came to this decision. So if she can't back up this 50-50 split in law, which I don't think she can, then you would appeal this decision to the trial court and eventually to the Court of Appeal, which would be even more expensive and insane in this particular situation. So I really like this episode, but this arbitrator is really missing the ball on this one.
Nothing for the man who paid for the ticket.
I bought it!
And this bigot here is gonna get a hero's payout?
He may be a bigot and he did use disgusting speech, but it's not technically hate speech since Mr. McDonald does not claim to be gay.
No, something can be hate speech, but that has no legal repercussions. Hate speech is not something that's really codified in law, so it doesn't really work here either way. But there are no legal repercussions that come as a result of whether it is or is not hate speech.
Oh, does that mean if I claim to be gay, I get all of it?
Well, yes, you would be entitled to keep all of it.
I claim to be gay.
No.
There's a history behind it.
I'm gay forever. Everybody knows it. Hey, excuse me. Would you please do the honors on my ticket, please?
Oh, you're a winner.
What? How much?
$10,000.
Son of...
All right, if you'll just take care of this, then we'll be all done.
What's this?
That would be a bill. I know it's steep, but you did go through 3 arbiters, and you've been here 17 hours.
Yikes. What's it add up to there, Frank? What's the damage?
$9,986.
Okay, that is totally reasonable. 17 hours at $9,000, so a little over $500 an hour. Yeah, that is honestly right in line with what I can imagine an arbitration attorney would actually cost. So that's perfectly realistic.
Yikes.
Holy cow, you guys aren't cheap. You guys aren't cheap.
The arbitration was Mac's idea. Let's let him pay for
That's a
it.
great idea.
That's fair. That's in fairness sake.
Yeah.
He's got the money for it.
He's got the money now, yeah.
Yeah, except they all agreed to it. And believe me, you would sign all kinds of contracts. Every single one of those people would be liable for the costs of the arbitrators because, they want to make sure that they get paid. All right, so let's give this episode of It's Always Sunny a grade for legal realism. On the one hand, arbitrators are expensive. They can set whatever rules they want. And honestly, this is not the most unrealistic portrayal of an arbitration proceeding. On the other hand, they're arbitrating over nonsense. Their legal arguments were completely insane, and the arbitrator had no bearing in fact or law whatsoever. So overall, I'm gonna give this episode of It's Always Sunny a B+. Nice job. Now, if you'd like to listen to more legal stories that are even more accurate than It's Always Sunny, you should listen to John Grisham's new legal thriller, The Judge's List, with today's sponsor, Audible. It's a story of investigator Lacey Stoltz as she follows the trail of a serial killer and closes in on a shocking suspect, a sitting judge. He is the most cunning of all serial killers because he knows forensics, police procedure, and most importantly, the law. Now, honestly, I was gonna make a joke about John Grisham, but frankly, that sounds pretty awesome. I'm definitely gonna listen to that. Because I use Audible almost every day. It's by far the best source of audio entertainment. I listen to audiobooks when I'm running, cleaning up, or when I'm supposed to be listening to friends or loved ones. Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment all in one place. If you tried to listen to everything that they have, it would take 3 centuries. And as an Audible member, you'll get 1 credit every month, good for any title in the entire premium collection, which includes basically every bestseller, new release, or memoir. And those titles are yours to keep forever in your Audible library. You'll also get access to their Popular Plus catalog, which is filled with thousands and thousands of audiobooks, original entertainment, guided fitness and meditation, sleep tracks, and shows. All included with your membership, no credits required. And Audible is running a special holiday promo for LegalEagle, so now is the absolute best time to join. New members will get 60% off for the first 3 months. That's only $5.95 a month. All you have to do is click on the link that's on screen right now or in the description, or go to audible.com/LegalEagle. So right now, for a limited time, save 60% on your first 3 months of Audible by clicking the link that's on screen. And while you're at it, click on this playlist over here with all of my other Real Lawyer Reacts videos. So click on this playlist, or I'll see you in court.